Hello, hello. Welcome to the 5th round of the Competier Open Series. Looking forward to today's races. Let's see how it's gonna be. We have, I think, 7 cars for the first race, then 5 or so, if I'm not mistaken, for the second one. People were already honking the whole time while we were waiting for everyone to connect. So good times ahead. So, Wally should be starting any second now. I think still waiting for 1 or 2 more drivers to connect. Silat and Igor are yet to connect. About 15-minute quali starts now. Some of the drivers actually taking the pit exit, but not all of them. Very naughty. We don't really have a clear rule on whether you have to look at the pit exit line as long as there's nobody you're actually endangering. If you cause an accident by ignoring the pit exit line, then it's basically always your fault. How's the grip looking? 97.3, not great, but pretty standard so far. Let's go on board with Robert. Takes the apex very nicely here. Takes a lot of speed throughout the corner. I'm currently trying to figure out some technical issues with Igor, as Robert does a 33.6. That's, I would say, very good to start off with. I gotta admit I didn't pay attention throughout the whole lap. But that's a good banker. Andros with a 35.1, Charlotte with a 36.7, Hank 37.1. Noah 35.2, very close to Andres. And Robert already improving, but is clearly missing the apex here. And also went off track there, so we'll look at someone else. Andres a bit conservative there in the first corner of the corkscrew, but takes the second one very nicely. However, right now significantly slower than his previous attempt. Robert going over the line. Doesn't improve again, if I saw correctly. Andres 34.4, also quite solid. Noah takes the apex nicely, but goes a bit, maybe takes a bit too much speed throughout the corner, or goes too early back on the throttle and then just completely hits the sand. Also goes off track here, and again the sand, so this run onto the next lap isn't going to be ideal either. Costing him 2 attempts effectively. Yeah, this track is pretty punishing, isn't it? If you make any sort of mistake, run wide anywhere, because there's you always immediately go into the sand. There's no asphalt runoff in the critical spots, also no grass. You tend to completely throw away your lap for a relatively small mistake. Has to back out of the throttle there, Charlotte, in order to not run wide. Noah going over the line. And then Charlotte going over the line, Charlotte improving to a 34.4. So tight between Charlotte and Andres now. Robert overshoots this corner, so this is not going to be an improvement for him. Oh, it's nicely, but it's too early back on the throttle, or takes too much speed into it with him. We saw a comparable mistake 1.5 laps ago from him, I think. Lotte losing a bit much speed maybe through this corner, but it might also look like that solely because she stayed in 5th there. The drivers don't seem to all be of the same opinion on what to do with the gears in that corner specifically. With 4th resulting in pretty high revs, you have to go into 5th again pretty soon. But in 5th the car does start to bog down a little bit. Usually when you're not sure with these cars, the higher gear, so the lower rev option is the better option. But in that specific case, I gotta admit, I wasn't sure myself. It depends a bit on whether you can generate the entry rotation in the higher gear or not. And then you do one or the other. Sorry that I'm a bit quiet there as I'm trying to figure out the issue with Igor so he can participate in the next race at least. Robert 33-0, that is so good. I highly doubt that anyone is going to be able to beat that here. Charlotte, Andres, Noah, so close. Noah about to finish his lap, but I think there was an out lap if I'm not mistaken. The first sector being very slow. So we'll go on board with Robert. At a fast first sector, very slightly missed that corner, but he might still be on the way for another improvement, or at least there's potential for it. Igor should be able to enter the next race. That was completely on me. Bit unfortunate, we could have had one car more, but hopefully he'll be there for the next one. Oh, Robert messing up the chicane there and deciding to reset. Give Andres as a better. Look like it. A bit far on the inside here, so he'll have to slow down. He almost goes off the track, but he's fine. If I'm not mistaken, or also an outlap for him. Make sure to get a good exit out of here to prepare his next one. And then he'll have 2 more attempts. Should be the same for Frank. And then for Charlotte it'll get a bit tight. We'll see when she goes over the line specifically. I think she just about doesn't have 2 attempts, she only has 1, but it's extremely tight. Also, that was an improvement for Charlotte, 34-2. Solid looking first corner. Noah over the line, but not improving. Andres with a personal best 36.1 in the first sector. Charlotte not with a personal best, but with a 36.2. It's still a competitive first sector. It's this corner quite nicely. This time she stayed in 4th. The revs were significantly higher there. Andres 30.7 second sector doesn't look bad. Charlotte messes up her lap, unfortunately. So let's go on board with Andres. Who could be on a lap to improve here. Takes the last corner very tight. I would say that looked good. Let's see, is there more in it? That could be second place potentially. And it is, by 400ths of a second. Does Charlotte have another attempt? I don't think she does. Nah, she doesn't. That mistake might have actually done it, that if this lap would have been slightly faster, then she would have had another attempt. It's unfortunate, it's so close. Robert sliding out of this one, so Andres still has this lap to go, but unless he can suddenly find over 1.1 seconds, I doubt we'll be seeing a change of pole position here, and he messes up the first sector a little bit. So, on pole by a significant margin, amazing lap 33.0, considering that the grip still wasn't perfect. With so few cars, it doesn't really get perfect. So very, very good lap from Robert for the 33.0. Then Andres, competitive 34.1, and so close behind that, Charlotte with a 34.2, Noah 34.5. Looking forward to those 3 racing. Maybe Zillard also trying to get into the mix with a 35.0, not very far away either. And then Frank in the back with a 37.1. Interesting quali. Could have looked completely different there in the midfield. I'm looking forward to the race. Hope we won't be seeing any major accidents in the first corner. It's a bit weird with a double apex where you can actually slightly miss the first apex and still be fine. There's potential that some of the drivers will try to choose different lines throughout it, and that can obviously be a bit dangerous. But I have full faith that our drivers are going to be careful. After last event, I don't think it was a DNF. Robert was around a lap behind. It wasn't a DNF, but it was obviously by far the worst result he's gotten here. Very fast driver, and he's looking to gain back some rating here today with a solid quali. And his goal is going to be to disappear into the front as the others battle it out. So, main objective for him, survive. Survive the first few corners. Try to not get the car too damaged. 4, 5, 6 lights. And we're off. All of them get away. Going over the hill. Noah already very close to Charlotte, but he'll have to pull back there as Zillard is going to try to make a move onto Noah. Charlotte goes very far to the outside, clearly trying not to hit anyone. And it looks like they all make it safely through that corner as you see Zillard pull away there in the back from Noah. So it's Robert, Andres, Charlotte, Noah, Zillard and Frank. Approaching there in the left. Very tricky corner this one to get right. When can you actually go back on the throttle? Andres gets it slightly wrong, but I think Charlotte was too far away for her to be able to make a move unless he also makes a mistake here, and he does. He hits the curb, so this might be an opportunity for Charlotte to send it down. But do you really want to send it down like this into the corkscrew? You're still fully behind, and she knows better. Takes a very conservative entry here. So over the line after just the first lap, Robert is already 2 seconds away from Andres, so handled the first lap perfectly. Managed to build a gap that is big enough to prevent anyone from trying to send it down the inside and potentially damage his rise. As Noah goes off track and manages not to spin, luckily. So early in the race would immediately lose both positions to the front. But he is losing a lot of time there to Charlotte, especially with the following slide. On board with Charlotte, 0.5 away. her goal is she's going to try to stay close enough so if Andres does a minor mistake again, like he's done in the first lap, that she can actually profit off it instead of just effectively being blocked into the next corner because she can't quite make an overtake work. Robert made a major mistake there in that lap, didn't he? Maybe we can try to see if we can catch it in the replay. It's not going to be that easy. That should have been here. I think he is he wants to make it interesting. I think he just slowed down on the main straight. Hoping that's not going to cost him if he ends up having any technical trouble again. Noah very close to Charlotte now. Charlotte apparently made some sort of minor mistake throughout this lap. Just so easy to do that here. Dip a wheel into the sand and you lose so much time that you're instantly at danger to be overtaken by the car behind. .33.7 already for Andres. I think Robert showing him the line is helping. On 98.8% of track grip. It's not that bad anymore. It's probably going to be increasing to optimal grip or around optimal grip at 10 minutes or so remaining, I would say. We're hitting the curb here, then going into the gravel. Luckily, Zillet is far enough away for him not to have to worry, but he's going to lose track of Charlotte with that. A bit deep here maybe. Missed the left curb, but the exit out of the corkscrew is still quite good. That looked like an actual lap from Robert, didn't it? 32.6. Hello, Mark. They've been behaving quite well so far in this race. Was a bit close in the first lap, but no collisions as far as I could see. I think Robert slowed down a little bit already to try to make it more interesting. He's comfortably in the front here. Charlotte hitting the sand very slightly there again, but enough of a gap to behind to not have to worry, but similarly to Noah doing it earlier, obviously losing track of the car in front because of it. But with 22 minutes to go, If she can find her groove, still potential to try to attack Andres throughout the race. We've already seen the odd minor mistake from Andres. He's not immune to it. And if all else failed, I'm counting on Noah to try to attack Charlotte. We've already seen in the last events that Noah tends to be on par with quali pace, sometimes even better than Charlotte and Andres. But the consistency isn't quite there throughout the race. If he can work on that, he'll be a worthwhile contender as well. As we say that, unfortunately him going way too deep here, and it feels like he's not finding any rotation. Maybe he wasn't on the brakes there, not trailing effectively. Also looked from Charlotte's point of view that she was having some understeer issues in the entries. Really throwing the car in here. Zillert also holding his ground, losing some time to the cars ahead, but that was to be expected, and I'd say he's staying fairly close. If anything bigger happens up ahead, he's in a position where he could profit from it. Oh, and that's Andres in the... was he in the wall? He definitely made a major mistake in corkscrew. He could have just... he could have spun there, I think. We'll take a look at it in the replay, as long as I can find the outside view. So he goes into the corkscrew here, very, very dangerous corner as you just start falling down at some point. And he loses the rear and is then looking the wrong way. So much time loss. He almost got overtaken by Zillert. Or he did get overtaken, already got the position back. He's 4.8 away from Noah now, who is another 2.5 away from Charlotte. Cargo Brum, exactly. I totally agree on that. Andres going deep here, kind of lost his groove. He shouldn't have any damage to the car. But he'll really have to get a move on to get those 5 seconds-ish back to Noah. And again, Laguna Seca strikes back. So much potential on this track for a small mistake to turn into something that can easily lose you some positions. And Robert completely checked out, hammering in 32s. Very solid. He's also stopped joking around with trying to slow down. I feel like he just wants the rating after last race, where he ended up finishing last because of an issue with his rig, and he had to reassemble something really quickly, losing him around 2 minutes. He doesn't want a rating loss like that again, I'm sure. .34.8 Charlotte, 34.6 for Noah, and a 34.0 for Andres. So definitely making up time, considering how short of a lap this is. Andres right now is fast enough to get back to both of them, potentially. Definitely to Noah, and it depends a little bit on whether he can make a proper overtake without losing too much time for too long. And then he'll still have potential to also catch Charlotte. Noah now pretty close to Charlotte. Assume there was a mistake or two for Charlotte there. Going slightly wide there again. Charlotte is under a lot of pressure here now, after she got gifted second, but now with Noah directly behind her, and Andres definitely on course to get back there as well. Suddenly Noah seems so much faster. It's very interesting. Wouldn't be unusual for him to suddenly be doing 1 or 2 extremely good laps and then going back to whatever he was doing before. But we'll see as they come over the line. 36.4 for Charlotte, so that was just a comparably bad lap for Charlotte. 34.6 for Noah, and Andres in the 33s. Charlotte losing time here in a way that doesn't let Noah pass is just going to accelerate Andres getting back to them, and then we have a three-way fight again. Noah coming out of here so cleanly. Is he going to commit into there? Charlotte, it seems like is committing way harder, is going a bit deeper into the corner, but both of them leaving each other space very nicely. The next corner, in my opinion, too dangerous to try to do anything silly in here, but they both try to stay next to each other. Noah pulling back. That was the right thing to do, I would say. With a fast corner, but a small radius, it's just so hard. You have to slow down so much in order to not drive the other person off track. So that is not really where Noah wants to be side by side. There are other corners where he wants to be side by side. For example, the first one. Laguna Seca also just not being an easy place to overtake, as Noah decides to completely hit the curb on the inside, and he's actually fine. Solid racing. I'm sure Andres is enjoying that, because as they go over the line, they won't have great lap times. 35.4, 35.5. And Andres with a 33.7 continues to improve. He's not very far away anymore. Noah almost driving into Charlotte there. I think she had another bad exit out of the corner. But Noah goes on the sand, and that gives Charlotte some breathing space again. Some pressure off of her. As she'll try to find her groove again. Was Andres going to peek into there already? I don't think he should. The first corner, it's just the better opportunity. Maybe a bit overzealous there. So prepare your exit here. Ensure that you drive a good straight line, and Noah makes a mistake already, so this is the chance. But if you go a bit deep in the last corner, there's potential to still gain a lot of momentum as you go back on the straight. But it does seem like Andres is cleanly through. Noah let him pass a bit again there. We've seen that a couple times, that it seems to be a bit harder for him to focus on his driving when there's someone directly behind you. It's obviously difficult. But we'll see what if we'll get the extremely fast Noah, or if we get the drive into the sand 3 times per lap Noah now. He almost... Okay, I think it's the latter, at least this lap. So Noah too far away now. And he's going to have to count on the guys ahead making mistakes. Again, slight consistency issues for Noah. He was doing quite well, and pressuring Charlotte, it felt like he was in control of the situation. And then as soon as there was someone behind him, it kind of turned around, and now we're looking at Andres to try to regain second place. Clean exit. 0.8 seconds of a gap is still a bit too much to get a worthwhile tow. 0.9 now. 34.6 for Charlotte, 34.0 for Andres. And Noah with the excursion off the track, it's a 140. Andres also slightly hitting the sand there. And in her rear view mirror you can see him. Good corner. Oh, ensuring you find the rotation there into that, she does. And not do an Andres and the corkscrew. Andres committing way harder into here. He got very close there in the rearview mirror, just on the entry of that corner. Now he's in position with 11 minutes to go. He's going to want to get this done cleanly, but not here. Again, tries to prepare optimally. I think he got a slightly better exit than Charlotte, and now he's going to have very, very good tow. The start-finish straight not being the longest, is it gonna be enough? Seems like Charlotte is slightly covering the inside here, but not fully. Andres kind of points there, but doesn't actually make a move. Can Charlotte hold this for 10 more minutes? That's going to be a big ask. But she has the track layout on her side. As I said earlier, it's really not easy to overtake through here. The easiest way to overtake is if someone ahead of you makes a slight mistake, and then because of the sand directly next to the track, it slows them down so much that they might get a free pass. But if Charlotte doesn't do that, then it's not going to be easy. And I think Charlotte misses the apex here and Andres goes past. So speaking of the devil, again, slight mistakes here and there for basically all of the drivers. And now that Andres is in front, it feels like he immediately makes a mistake and that's Charlotte back in, and Charlotte takes the opportunity. Hopefully they won't bump each other off track here, they don't. Now Andres back on the inside. But he's just slightly too far back now. So as they approach the last corner, Charlotte is squeezing him a little bit, just giving enough space, but not more than that. Andres has to make sure that he gets a solid exit here. And he does with 0.2 of a gap. He's going to get a good toe into it again. But there's no way Charlotte is going to let him to the inside here. Here she kind of does, but Andres very committed, slightly hits her back, and he knows that he can turn that into an overtake, so he slows down enough. So Charlotte is going to stay in front. Fair play. Fair play. I mean, he probably knows that that would be a penalty if you touch someone like that and then turn it into an overtake. But I really like that it doesn't even have to come to that, because these drivers know when something was too much. Very cool. Eight and a half minutes, clock is ticking down. Andres is going to want to prepare a move again into the last corner, unless he can find an opportunity here, but I think it would be a bit overzealous again. Charlotte very far on the right there, so kind of folds down into the corner because of the incline. But it doesn't matter as long as she stays ahead. Charlotte better second to last corner. So last corner has to be perfect now for Andres, or he's going to not get a lot of a toe anymore. 0.5 of a gap, that's definitely a toe. 0.4, 0.5, but it's not going to be an overtaking opportunity, I think. With just a little bit of toe. Oh, Charlotte going wide. So that does end up being an opportunity for Andres, but it's not quite there. If he was 2 or so tenths further ahead, that would have likely been it. But just not in the right place, in the right time. Is he going to take a look into here? He announces himself, but he doesn't quite do it. And that's the right decision, because there's not much of a braking zone there where you could try to get fully past before the car ahead wants to turn in. And that's a recipe for disaster. Charlotte going a bit wide here, but just about not hits the sand. And as these drivers battle it out, Noah is actually not fast enough to catch back up. Robert 32.4. Very good laps. So far away now. Gap obviously increasing by the battles we're seeing here. Bit wide in the last corner, therefore a bit late on the throttle, so not the ideal exit for Andres to try to prepare a move. And again, just slightly too far away. Gets maybe a very minor toe, but that's it. This straight is not that long, so the aerodynamic advantage of being behind someone is not nearly as strong as we've seen it, for example, on the Red Bull Ring or on the main straight on Spa. Noah also dropped behind Zillard. Maybe we'll take a quick look at that if we can find them. Oh yeah, he's in the sand there. I think he's having some sort of issue. Yeah, I think he's having a... Yeah, that looks like a technical issue. He was also very wide, as if he was doing something else while driving. Andres very, very close. We don't want to miss this one. But as we know, the best overtaking opportunity is coming up now. So prepare the exit optimally. He is very far on the inside there, so he's not going to get on the throttle very early, but it feels like Charlotte also didn't get the perfect exit, so it might still turn into an overtaking opportunity for Andres. Little bit of a connection warp going on there for at least one of them. Andres again kind of showing himself on the inside, but not quite there to make it. And with only 4 minutes to go, what is that? I think it's 3 more laps, including this one. Time is running away for him now. Misses the quick left-hander here. Some more breathing space for Charlotte. And again, but Charlotte also didn't get it perfectly, so he's actually gaining time. We continue to see small mistakes from them here and there. Oh my god, he sends it down the inside there. That's... It actually works. It actually works. I didn't think that would be possible, but it feels like Charlotte wasn't really expecting that. Maybe was a bit careful on the entry. It's possible that Andres knew that she is a bit careful on the entry there, and therefore decided to just send it, make sure he's already alongside when she wants to turn in. So very aggressive. We'll see. This will get looked at potentially after the race if Charlotte was basically actively evading a crash, but it didn't seem like it to me right there. So Andres in P2. Was from so far back. I also wasn't expecting that, I have to admit, that would be possible, and I assumed that Charlotte also wasn't. Yeah, very intense. It looked like it was from too far back. When he was approaching, I thought it would be a crash. But that could have been a case of him studying where Charlotte is losing or gaining time compared to him, and him realizing that he's fast into the entry of that corner, and using that knowledge in one of the following laps to make an overtake from so far back. It's very clever to do that. You can see it there as well. He's very strong in that corner. Bonk. It's the curb. Charlotte with the mistakes now. I think she'll have to settle for third in this race. Another opportunity come the next one. Noah still in fifth. That's not where he wants to be. Another 38.1 from him, so I assume that was including another bigger excursion over the sand. What a race for Andres though, so far. In P2 then makes a major mistake and then actually manages to get back there. After his spin in the chicane, in the corkscrew, where he then happened to be the fastest driver, or at least faster than both Noah and Charlotte throughout. Charlotte again getting off track here, but she doesn't have to worry about anything anymore. It's just a bit unfortunate that she won't be able to catch back up to Andres. Potentially frustrated about letting that happen, or about maybe thinking that it wasn't a fair move. But in the Open Series, all the stewarding matters will be handled after the races. So the time hit 0, but these come over the line, and they are now starting their last lap because Robert ahead has been like long over the line already when the time ticked down, so as he's the leading car, he has to finish this lap and then the others finish. Noah 35.8, that's not fast enough to get back to Zillert. Let's watch Robert a little bit as he gets out of the corkscrew. He has Frank in his sights there, who will have to do another lap. I think the first time that we've seen someone actually lap someone else, or almost lap someone else on pace. I think Frank is scared to cause an accident here, so he decides to just go on this and let him pass. So that's an actual lapping maneuver, and Robert drifts over the line. P1 very solidly done. That race win was never really a danger. Can't say that about all the places behind him though. With Andres going through the last corner. What a race from him. Major mistake. Thrown back almost all the way back to the field, and then makes it back up to second. Very good race from him. Charlotte also held on for so long. Very good race for her, even though I'm sure she would have wanted to stay second. And now probably the most surprising result, Zillert managing to stay in front with whatever issue Noah had there at some point. Lost him around 10 seconds or so. Very slow in the first corner and then goes off track into the second corner. No idea what happened there, but Zillert takes it. Comes back in P4. Then Noah in P5. And Frank in P6. Cool race. I really enjoyed that midfield fight. So, we go into the intermission screen, and then we'll be back for the next race in around 7 to 8 minutes. Stay tuned. So, we're back. Second race, Robert is yet to connect. So, a new phase. We have Igor here, who also wanted to participate in the first race, but unfortunately I messed up the entry list after a belated Steam ID exchange. And that one's on me. But luckily he still wanted to do the second race. I'm wondering if this is going to be another rating farming session for Robert, or if he's going to go for a last to first challenge. That's what he tried to do in Spa as well. Didn't go his way because of his technical issues. So I'm not sure if he'll dare to do it again, but just on pace he can do it. Charlotte immediately leaving to start her quali. Then Igor going out. Zillat for the win. Well, Zillat's last result was pretty good. I don't think he would have expected to finish ahead of Noah, but he did. With apparently some sort of mistake or issue for Noah. We don't know what exactly happened there, but we take those. Good rating gain for Zillat. Punk already in the gravel there, for good measure. Charlotte taking us over the line for the first time. Looked like a clean exit onto her first time lap. Goes to the outside here, picks her braking point. Always looks like you're a bit deep into the first corner and then the second apex comes back to you, but this was actually too deep. I'm spending too much time between the first and the second apex. Bit of a wobble there out of the corner. And slightly on the sand. She's definitely going to be improving on that lap. Igor hitting the curb on the inside, therefore he can't go back on the throttle as early as he would like to. A little bit of a slide there. Takes it conservatively into corkscrew. These drivers are noticing that they just have a bit less grip than they did at the end of the last session. Igor not having that problem because he didn't participate in the first one, but the others have to rewire their brain a little bit now in order to not overdrive it in every single corner. 97.3%, pretty standard for the beginning of our quali session here. Charlotte with a 35.1 is going to be looking to improve that. Igor over the line with 39.9, probably similarly, going to be looking to get a bit more out of that. Punk with, I think, what, nah, he was either completely off the track or he went back into the pits. We saw him off the track once in the outlap, but maybe he did it again. Look at that. 30.36.8. And Robert still not here on the server. So that does seem as if he's doing the last to first challenge. It's going to be tough against Charlotte, I would say. But Robert was so fast in the earlier race that he definitely has the potential to do that. Half an hour is a lot of time to try to catch back up to the front if you've lost some time clearing the drivers behind. So that 1/10th improvement. Charlotte approaching the start-finish line with a personal best first sector and what looks like a decent second sector. 34.7. It's not bad. Igor coming over the line, personal best second sector, but I think a pretty bad first sector. Still an improvement though, at 39.8. So if he can iron out that first sector, then he's gonna be golden. That over the line, personal best first and second and third sector, puts it together 35.3. I think he's gonna be happy with that, to be honest, considering that the grip isn't that good. I'm not quite sure what times he was doing in the race previously, but I don't think he was doing 34, so if he was, it was like an exception. So 35.399 on low grip. Good luck. I feel like I'm watching him improve. He hasn't actually been here in this championship for very long, but he's definitely better now than he was a week ago. At least that's what it seems like to me. A lot session best first sector, second sector wasn't as good, but the third sector was very good, 34.2. Nice. She can put it together, maybe a 33 is in here, that would be very, very strong. That would be kind of a Robert time, right, to get into the 33s on low grip. Although I think he was in the... he wasn't in the high 33s anymore even. You go over the line, personal best first and second sector. Comes over with a slight improvement, 39.1. Not a personal best first sector, but a personal best second sector, and I think the first sector wasn't terrible. Significant improvement, 39.1, kind of getting into the mix here. And still that with a 34.8. Good lap. Nice. Almost looks as if he's calling it a day. Or maybe he is still going to maybe he's still going to go for another one. Or another run. I hope he will. A little too deep there into the chicane. This lap isn't hers, but any improvement now would be quite good. And maybe not even necessary unless Szilard really still has an ace up his sleeve. So the line's going to be a second or so slower, yes. 1.1. Fix a breaking point for T1. Again, it always looks as if you're slightly deep. It did seem, though, as she was a bit too late on the throttle, but also not terrible. We haven't really seen how her first corner was in her previous best, but this is definitely not going to be a PB. Nor improvement in the session. Igor coming over the line, personal best second sector, and that's a 3/10th improvement for Igor. Flying first and second sector, personal best. Can he improve even more? 35.6, I think that's very strong for him. He's also going to be happy with that performance, no matter his finishing position. Szilard had the session best second sector. He's going for it now. But I think that was a second... Oh yeah, that was an outlap for him, wasn't it? So the worst possible time to do a purple second sector. But maybe he can repeat it. Comes very far from the outside there. Not quite sure which gear he should be in there, at least it sounded like it. A lot about to come over the line, but it's not a good lap, I think. Igor personal best first, but not a personal best second sector. I don't think he's far off in the second, though, so still potential for improvement in this very lap. And I hope that Robert is going to join eventually. As of course I'm mistaken and he wasn't signed up, and while I'm not looking, I hear Zillard on the sand. Yes, Robert is signed up. Wait, did the timing tables not do what they were supposed to do, or did he actually do a personal, like the same session best second sector again? Then it would be pretty unfortunate that he just wasted the lap over the gravel. Yes, I think he lost all of it in the third sector. That lap would have been still slightly slower than Charlotte probably, but only slightly. Charlotte session best first sector, okay-ish second sector. Is it improvement? No. The lap she did is getting harder and harder to crack here. But also as the grip improves, maybe she'll still manage to do it towards the end of the session. Going very deep here, wants to go back on the throttle, so he's halfway back on the throttle because he's not sure when he can be fully back on the throttle. And then the car just understeers all over the place. You just feel like you're waiting for the front of the car for ages. And there's Robert on the server. So, unless he still goes out now to go for a 1 or 2 shot quality, this is going to be the last to first challenge, and I think he can do it. So that about to finish a lap, but it wasn't a good one. With just a couple of cars, the track grip improvement isn't that big. So for this session, I think from 97.3, or was it 97.2 in the beginning, now to 97.6% of track grip. 0.3 or 0.4 really isn't that much. Corner nicely here. I wasn't really watching in the first one. Hesitating a bit on the throttle because he knows he slightly missed the apex, so if he goes on the throttle at the normal point in the corner, then he would run off track into the sand. With plus 0.3, this lap is going to be... Oh, never mind, it's a plus 0.3 compared to Charlotte's lap, but it's actually a personal best for him, as he's previously lost a significant portion of the time he's slower than Charlotte in the first sector. Hits it nicely, I would say. And just to go somewhat far back to the right here, it's not a personal best second sector, but also by no means a terrible one. Hesitating a little bit on the turn in here. And out of the last corner, clean exit. But still a 34.8, even though the last sector was a personal best again. If I see it correctly, yeah, he did another 34.8, but in the hundredths it was slower. Good sign of consistency. Even though I'm sure he would have preferred a slightly better second sector there. And he's going to go off the track here. Yes, he does. So this lap not it for him, and this is the last one he's allowed to do. So we're looking at Charlotte. This is her last attempt, and she did a session best 35.8. Looking to get an even bigger gap to really make a statement here for pole. That looked clean as well, but she has to make sure that she comes far enough to the right again. It looked okay. She doesn't quite hit the apex here, so a little bit of time lost, but also has gained a bit of time already towards the previous lap. So we'll see how that works out as she picks a braking point into the last corner, hits it nicely, back on the throttle. Approaching the line, is it improvement? It isn't, it's 1/10 slower, but also good sign of consistency. I like to see that. So they're doing the correct thing to actually drive back to the pits. Oh, and now we're the wrong way around. So, starting grid Charlotte, very good pole, 34.2, and Szilard with a 34.8. I think he's going to be very happy with this lap. That's quite a strong time. Frank 35.6 is also going to be reasonably happy. Igor with 37.7, and Robert not having done quali. We know what he's up to. Hopefully it won't end the same as it did in that Spa race. Looking forward to his run to the front. I think he's going to be clearing Igor and Frank pretty quickly. I'm not sure about Szilard. It's hard for me to put into perspective how fast he is. As I said, it feels as if he's, even though he's only been participating in a couple races so far, he just gets fast in every one of them. And then Charlotte is going to be tough to crack for Robert. A big part is going to be when he'll arrive with Charlotte, if he'll have any issues in the starting phase, receive any damage, anything along those lines is going to make it harder for him, obviously. Also, we'll see how Charlotte will be driving under pressure again. We've seen from both Charlotte and Noah in the last race that as soon as someone was very close behind them, they would start to make mistakes. I think Andres also did that with a bigger mistake in Corkscrew. So you gotta be able to handle the pressure here. So all the lights go on. They're revving their engines. And all of them get away well. I think Igor with a suboptimal reaction time. So Robert is going to be looking at trying to make an overtake happen. He's already in front. So getting safely into fourth and already trying to break himself past Frank. And he manages to do it as Frank is very careful. And Robert from 5th to 3rd in one corner. Charlotte, Szilard, Robert, Frank and Igor. Robert already taking a look there at Szilard, but he's not going to make it as easy. He's fully covering the inside here. Tries to go back to the outside for this corner, doesn't quite manage it, so this is going to be a suboptimal corner for him, and Robert immediately uses it. Szilard not letting him back to the outside. This is going to be tricky as he hits the curb and then hits into Szilard. But luckily both of them survive. Small mistake there from Robert as he got squeezed a little bit on the entry. I think that was legal from Szilard, which is not letting him fully back to the outside, but as I said in last race as well, because that's a high-speed corner but with a small radius, it's very hard to anticipate how much you actually have to slow down if you can't take the corner optimally. Usually the answer is you have to slow down a lot more than you think. So over the line, Robert is already right at the back of Charlotte. Very strong. Probably the perfect first lap, except that little bump with Szilard. Now can Charlotte hold it in first for 28 minutes? An even bigger ask than against Andres in the last race. Charlotte is slightly in the sand there, but Robert can't use this, so it's just going to slow Robert down. Oh, slightly hits Charlotte there out of the corner. She almost loses the car. He's not supposed to be doing that. Robert gives them a challenge. Yes, definitely. I wasn't sure if he would dare to try it again, the last to first challenge, but last time when it went wrong, it didn't actually go wrong because of the last to first challenge, just because he had technical issues. Robert not sure which gear to pick there, as he has to evade Charlotte's line a little bit. Now has to make sure that the next two corners sit well, otherwise he's going to waste a chance at getting past Charlotte. But it looks decent. Early back on the throttle, 0.4 of a gap. Both of them got a decent exit, I would say, 0.3. If he tries it here, it would be aggressive. Don't think he can. Even though the toe is so good with these cars. It's just a bit harder, and he sends it down between the first and the second corner because he knows that Charlotte is going to leave some space there, but Charlotte stays on the inside and takes it immediately back into the third corner. Nice racing. Robert knowing there that he had to move away slightly. Is it going to be a slight bump again? That was very close. That could have been a slight bump draft. Just hoping they won't be deleting each other off track. Charlotte missing the apex here a little bit. Robert decides to go for an extremely aggressive bump draft. He is a little bit aggressive, yes, definitely. Charlotte tight line into the entry. And again, under pressure, we just see a couple more of these small mistakes here and there from Charlotte. Knowing that with these cars you can send it into so many entries if you really want to. You're constantly watching your rear view mirrors, but you need the focus, you need the capacity to still be optimally driving the car. Otherwise, you just give up too many opportunities. Robert is going to try to do it here again, but Charlotte brakes pretty deep, so maybe she's going to... Well, he can't actually make a similar maneuver again. It looked as if Charlotte was expecting it now. Taking it a bit tighter and sacrificing a little bit of the exit speed for that instead. Which isn't particularly fast, but it covers an overtake. In the back, Szilard interested at getting back into the mix. The guys and girls ahead are going to have to steal more time off each other, though. 35.4 and 35.2 for first and second place right now. That's still a bit faster than what Szilard is doing. Again, suboptimal exit for Charlotte, but Charlotte ensures that Robert has to go to the outside. If Robert commits properly, he's going to be there. He doesn't. Charlotte commits way harder, and it works out for her. And again, she's in the front. Robert was careful there, but for a good reason. Do you really want to finish an overtake on the outside into the corkscrew? I'm not sure. Shows himself here to try to throw off Charlotte a little bit, then try to still get a good exit. Not sure if Charlotte was successfully thrown off, but the exit is still good, so this is going to be another attempt from him. Takes his braking point, he doesn't go to the inside yet. I think is hoping again for Charlotte to go slightly wide here, make it easy for him, but she's not planning to do that. 34.9 for both of them. As they're exactly behind each other. Will be a risky maneuver into here, he knows it. The solution is going to be slightly better preparation into the last corner than actually make it stick into the first one, I think. Maybe he's playing with his food here a little bit, but I'm sure that if it was easier, he would take the opportunity. But he hasn't quite found one that he likes yet. I think Charlotte going very, very deep here, so still a lot of turning to do very late into the corner, but Robert going down the inside now, and with a significant speed advantage, he is going to be ahead. Waited for the mistake from Charlotte, and eventually it came as Robert slides into this corner. Is that going to allow Charlotte to prepare an overtake into the first corner if she gets out of here reasonably well? She was too late on the throttle there, so that's not going to happen. Very solid from Robert. After 8 minutes, he is from 5th into 1st. He knew he could do it, and I respect that. Are we going to see him separate himself now from the field, or is he going to continue to slow down a little bit so he's directly in front of Charlotte? And we've seen that he was doing that with Andres before. Some of the very quick drivers in this series aren't here today, so I think Robert feels the need to play with his foot a little bit here. I'm surprised he didn't overtake her sooner. To be honest, I'm just happy that he didn't go for an unnecessarily risky move after he already hit her in the back pretty badly once. Yeah, waiting for a mistake was the good thing to do there, as we see him let her back by. So he's sure that he can do it again whenever he wants to. When is karma going to strike? Is it going to strike? With them close to each other, we're going to be seeing a lapping maneuver here. Igor struggling a little bit on this track. He had a very slow last lap. Was he in the pits or something? I'm not entirely sure. I'm kind of scared that Robert is going to send it while I'm in the replay. So I'm not going to look at the replay right now. Almost hits her there in the second to last corner. And Igor in the pits maybe has some sort of problem, or he's going into the pits tactically to just let the leading pair by. Don't hit her. showing himself again there. Was there a collision? I'm not entirely sure. It looked a little bit like it in the middle of the chicane. I keep not immediately coming up with the name Corkscrew. Hope it's not too obvious. I think this is the best possible practice for Charlotte to perform under pressure. Always someone behind her who she knows is a bit faster than her. Holding the slipstream, Charlotte taking slightly tighter line there, but then going back to the outside. Charlotte, I think, a little bit deep, so Robert could be... No, he doesn't do it. Charlotte leaves space there towards the second apex, so he could have gone for an overtake. But I think, again, he's playing with his food here. Is that going to cost him? If anything happens, if he makes a mistake, if he decides to go over the curb and then goes fully in the sand and loses over a second, what if that happens too late in the race? We'll see. As he's not immune to making mistakes, even though he is so fast. Definitely catching back up. Charlotte missing the apex there. So losing 1.5 seconds or so, he can get that back in 1.5 laps, so what was it? Not quite. At this point of the race, not an issue, but it shouldn't happen with little time to go. So maybe that was the lesson he needed to actually try to go for a valid move now and then stay in front. Very close here at the last corner, so gets a good toe, even though the straight isn't that long. Can't quite find a way to try to go next to her here. Commits to the breaking point. Almost hits her in the back there. There might have been a little bit of a touch. When is Charlotte going to start to try to back him into Zilla? That would be funny. This is in every corner where you can't overtake, just lose a couple tenths. Charlotte's last lap also wasn't bad with a 34.2, but I think he's going for it now. Yes, he wants a position now. He realized if I make a mistake, if I make a bigger mistake, I'm just going to... Oh no, he decides to go back. Is that the right call? I know he wants to put on the show for us, but after last event he should look at his rating as well, which I think he'll be receiving for the first time after this race, because he will have done at least 5 races by then, and then you get a valid rating in the Open Series. The up to 20 highest rated drivers will be invited to the Spring Finals at the end of March. You can win a good sum of money there. So if you're watching, if you're interested in driving with us, first I have to tell you there are some more fast drivers that are just not here today. So it's not going to be that easy. But either way, again, trying to find a way past here, but he's going to try it between the first and second corner again. We already know that. And he just bumps into the back of Charlotte. Yeah, if you're watching, join our Discord. Very easy to sign up. We have a practice server where the next track in the rotation is already set then. Put it over the curb here. And Robert goes very deep, so if Charlotte is back on the throttle on time here, then she will keep the position. Not fully ahead, but on the inside here, squeezing him a little bit. I would do the same in her position. Robert better exit speed. But makes a mistake, goes fully off the curb there. Even though the car flies around a little bit, he keeps it pointing somewhat straight. Still next to her, and now with a better exit he's going to go next to her again. And that's him effectively pass, I would say. Bad exit. Opportunity for Charlotte. Unless, of course, he gives the position back willingly if he thinks he can do it again. No bonus points to gain if you do that. He takes the pit exit. Does he like actually take it? Okay, he has to lose time there, otherwise he gets a penalty. He doesn't. Okay, he does now. Okay, that's good. He actually gets into trouble if he does that. The pit entry is faster here. That would be... He would simply gain time there. I'm not sure if the game gives you a penalty. It should, but it's a bit stupid sometimes, so I'm not counting on it. But he's been good. That's a back by. And now he's going to go for what I assume is going to be his last overtaking attempt, because with single-digit minutes remaining, he probably shouldn't let her back pass. In the meantime, Zillert is a bit faster than these two ahead are while they're actively fighting, but not enough, especially if there's a lap or two in between where they're just running without being next to each other, then Zillert just loses too much ground again. Fang's last lap was a personal best 36.2, not bad, but same thing basically, and I think Zillert is just significantly more consistent there. With an 18.5 second gap to Frank. Very solid. Bit of a correction there in the first corner for Robert. And also, Igor is still trying his best. I appreciate that. He made sure that he would get fully out of the way there when the leading pair arrived. Always room for improvement. These races are a good opportunity to try to get the best out of yourself in an environment where it counts, but it's also not the end of the world if anything happens, if you have a bad race. You don't ruin a whole championship for you or anything like that. Announcing himself here, Robert, but decided not to go for it yet. Solid exit. Charlotte was a bit deep, I think. So, provided he wants to do it here now, he could send it to the inside. He is on the inside now. That's the first time he's actually managed to do that. Usually he would come from the back here. They go together through here. Charlotte leaving a lot of space. Doesn't want another collision. And I think he's going to be gone now. Because it could be a bad idea to let her back pass now with 7 minutes remaining. We're missing an Andres or a Noah here, aren't we? To pressure Charlotte a little bit. Or maybe Finn or Kai or Luca, so Robert can't afford to do any of this. Because he'll be probably chasing for the lead, not actually be in front. But relaxed Wednesday evening for Robert. It's going to be relatively speaking easy P1 in both races. That's the rating recovery he was searching for. After an abysmal last race. And Charlotte having had 2 amazing races, finishing first in both of them. Not as intense as the last race, yeah, definitely. Obviously also a smaller field and the field a bit more spread out. As I said, some of the favorites for the front and also some of the midfield drivers not being here today or not here in the second race. But looking forward to welcoming them again in the next events. Just look a bit at what Silat is doing. Into the chicane, look pretty decent. Looks like he is steering in a lot. He's really asking a lot of those front tires. Robert 33.2. Pretty good, but I think he can go faster than that. I'm half expecting him to. Not optimal grip, it's not going to get quite to optimal grip, but it's almost there. And basically too few cars this session to rubber in the track properly. Last lap was a 34.9 for Silat, which is his best one so far. 34.1 for Charlotte as well. Also the best one, again, reinforcing a little bit that when there's someone ahead of her but not behind her, that she gets a bit faster. I think a lot of drivers have that when they're chasing someone and don't have anything to lose themselves in the direct surroundings, basically. Not a lot of pressure, but the feeling that you're pressuring the other person in front of you, that helps. Pretty solid driving we're seeing from Silat. Struggling a little bit with understeer, it feels like, and then he tries to steer in even more. Like here, he's waiting for the front there. A little bit of a setup change maybe, or potentially a bit more trailing. Could be the solution to that. And now we're seeing the 32.7 from Robert that I was searching for. It's also easier to follow a track rather than drive it yourself, right? It depends a little bit. With top drivers, it doesn't really matter, basically. But there is a chance that Robert takes a slightly better line than Charlotte, and then Charlotte can inherit some of that if she's directly behind that. Also, with these cars, you get a pretty significant tow if you're close enough, so you gain more top speed. But on this track, that doesn't really do that much, and having someone directly in front of you makes it very difficult to see the corners. And on a track like this, where going off track just a little bit puts you immediately into the sand, it can be a bit uncomfortable to be right behind someone. But so far the drivers behind in the train have been doing the better job on average. Here again, a lot of steering from Zillard. He just wants more. He wants to ask the front for more. So maybe it's time for more rotation, either through the setup or through the perfect trailing, which can make cars a bit tail happy on entries, but this car usually behaves quite safely. On board with Robert, who is on his, I think, second to last lap. I'm not sure how much longer he'll need for this one, to be honest, because it might be his last. He's been on this one for 50 seconds now. Oh no, I think the time is going to end right before he goes over the finish line, so that would make this the last lap of the race. Takes this beautifully. It uses some rotation with the right braking input. It points the car to the apex. Back on the throttle at the apex at the latest. Fixed braking point. Also beautifully done. And now I think the time is... yeah, he's going to run out of time just before he goes over the finish line. So this is the end of the race, isn't it? Yes, it is. So Robert improves his best lap again, 32.5, and again very solid win. Was never really in danger, even though I was a bit scared about him letting Charlotte back past somewhat late into the race. Charlotte coming home in second. Good result for her again. There wasn't that much more to do there, just too much of a pace difference to Robert. Zillard in third. Also where I think he was expected to finish in this constellation as he continues to improve racing in our series. Igor went to the pits a couple laps ago, was also very far behind, so that's going to be Franken P4. Small field in the second race, was a bit bigger in the first one. We're going to be doing our best to get some more drivers. If you see this, if you're interested in driving, please join our Discord. It's very easy to get going in our series, and there are some serious cash prizes to gain. So, it's not what I wanted to do. Everyone who is watching, thank you so much. We'll be here again at the same time next week. And see you there. Goodbye.